This is the evening news from Moscow. You're listening to simultaneous interpretation from Russian by John Glad. The program is entitled News 1. The uncertain situation on the Black Sea float is getting, the uncertainty is becoming greater, and sailors are insisting on having their own way. Yeltsin has arrived in Nizhny Novgorod. The Security Council in the UN is sending officers to separate the conflicting parties, but demands that its representatives be guaranteed their safety. The health of President Bush no longer is a cause for concern during his visit to Japan. Colonel Nichiperenko denies the statement of his former boss, General Kalugin. Hello, the first program today, News 1, and my name is Pavel Kasparov. The Black Sea float is a hard nut to crack for the new Commonwealth. The statement today of Boris Yeltsin, which was made in Ulyanovsk before workers at the plane factory, has only raised the tone. Mr. Yeltsin said that the Black Sea float was, is, and will be, the Black Sea Fleet will continue to be Russian. Yeltsin said that he had issued orders to commanders of the ships, giving them guarantees, and told them not to swear loyalty to Ukraine. The commander of the fleet likewise shares this opinion and does not understand the boldness with which Ukraine has attempted to split off the fleet. The Minister of Defense of the Republic, General Morozov, stated that Ukraine was a sea power and it needed the Black Sea fleet to defend the shores of the Republic. There would be no troops station. The negotiations on troop forces are in a dead end. Here in Moscow, we have a press conference answering to the questions of journalists. Mr. Lazorkin from the Ukraine stated that 90% of the crews were ready to swear loyalty to an independent Ukraine. In the process, it was stated that no one would be forced to sign the oath. Along the borders with Russia, there were no plans to have Ukrainian land troops. As far as we know, the Ukrainian economy is not in the greatest shape. Can it be that the government does not have something better to do than worry about armed forces? This is a very important topic. This is Mr. Krzyzanowski, who is representative of Ukraine in Russia. This will help our economy to get on its feet, among other things. We have statements made on behalf of the Ukrainian people. Supposedly the Ukrainian people wants this or that. Were there any polls, sociological polls, or referendums conducted with regard to armed forces? I think the people is in agreement with the leadership. As for President Kravchuk, he considers that Russia claims the Black Sea float because, as formerly, it does not treat Ukraine as an independent state. During yesterday's press conference, he insisted that the fleet belongs to the Commonwealth but not Russia. But how about the agreement of all the Commonwealth with regard to having the fleet signing loyalty to the yellow-blue flag of Ukraine? With regard to military units, according to the President of Ukraine, these oaths are to be conducted in Kiev and Carpathian regions, where the firepower is no inferior and perhaps even superior to the German army. This was the topic of the press conference of Leonid Kravchuk with officers, which took place today. President Yeltsin signed a decree with regard to loyalty oaths sworn to Russia. The soldiers had to swear not to apply force to the people who had appointed them or the representatives in the government. Yeltsin spent the day in the city of Ulyanovsk. For the last 2 days, which Yeltsin spent in the Volga region, there were a lot of revelations and unexpectednesses. He was a revelation were the prices. His reaction to 100 ruble per kilo bologna was a very violent reaction. He said the stores had to be private and independent. His arrival is not at all like his visit 7 years ago as a party official. The residents of the city have more difficult questions for him, and he's not attempting to tell them how to live. If you support the president will support you, was his repeated appeal to the people. He was quite surprised by the peaceful reception in Saratov and in Ulyanovsk. The free prices, he considers, might have unexpected consequences. The Russian leader, it would appear, has been successful in winning the sympathy of the people in confirming Yuri Garyachev as head of the local administration. Who is for Garyachev? So that's the case. I'll sign the decree today. In this same area, a factory, he made the decision on the Black Sea fleet. Day before yesterday, I spoke to Admiral Chernavin and asked him, are the ship's commanders obeying you? He said yes. So tell them all that they are under the protection of the President of Russia. They are not to sign or swear any oath of loyalty to Ukraine. The Black Sea fleet was, is, and will be Russian. The lofty guest has to help out his hosts. He discussed today foreign trade problems of the factory, which produces the most powerful plane in the world, the Ruslan, the AN-124, which is estimated to be worth $120 million. There are 4 to be sold abroad at the decision of the president. That should solve all the problems, not only of the factory, but of all of Ulyanovsk. You can't say that everyone is unanimous in supporting Boris Nikolaevich. The leaders of the opposition parties silently expressed their protest. The president, in getting the support of the clergy, flew to Nizhny Novgorod. The next part of Piece of the News will be devoted to Russia. The Supreme Soviet of Federation has resolved to divide property into three categories: federal, Republican, and local property, including Moscow and Petersburg. All this should, in the opinion of the parliamentarians, speed up the process of privatization. Beginning with the 2nd of January, meaning tomorrow, the Russian government is outlawing the export of deficit goods and groceries to other republics. That's linked to the similar measure among certain other members of the Commonwealth, forbidding export to Russia of their foodstuffs. Now on Moscow, after analyzing the liberalization of prices after 1 week, the conclusion is that the residents of the city were not prepared. Right up to the 4th, the stores were closed for inventory taking. And the factory, one factory was closed. The administration hesitated, lost its courage, and Yuri Lyshkov is to resign together with his followers. The press conference, which was dedicated to this event, took place, and it likewise became known that Lyshkov's government had retired, but Mayor Popov have entrusted appointed to Lushkov in 2 weeks to form a new team, which now will be called the Government of Economic Reforms. This government will consist of blocks, 5 blocks, and economic reforms, development, social protection, and territorial direction. Those are the areas they're working in. One more piece of news, railroad tickets may become even more expensive. The desire to change their place of their address is the privilege of rich people. You and I will have to be able to travel only on television. According to Mr. Yefimov, who is the Minister of Transportation, the price is established on as of the 1st of January, raising prices on planes by three times and trains twice. Was not enough. They still need a subsidy of 16 billion rubles. The rates in Russia are lower than in other states. A ticket from Moscow to Kiev costs 54 rubles, but from Kiev to Moscow costs 81. From Moscow to Tallinn, 60 rubles. From Tallinn to Moscow, 111. From Moscow to Tashkent, 128. From Tashkent to Moscow, 192. A still bigger gap is true with regard to aviation. So Russia has to compensate not only its citizens, but likewise so-called foreigners from the other former republics. We have to equate this